So we've had a few days now, haven't we, to kind of assess Garuda, or the footage we've seen of Garuda, and what we think of her. Now we know that she's going to arrive with Fortuna. It kind of sounds like I'm giving a low-key battle cry, doesn't it, when I'm saying Fortuna with this accent? Kind of running down a hill into battle with the Lords of Tuna looking over us. Maybe I'm just overthinking it a little bit. Now let's talk a little bit about Garuda, what I personally think of her, because I didn't really go into detail on the Devstream recap. I was just talking about what we've seen and everything that they showcased. Now the one thing that a lot of you feckers who watched my video on the Devstream seem to be agreeing on is that Garuda looks visually stunning. The draping fabrics, the huge claws, and the whole blood and gore theme that comes along with her. However, her abilities are not really interesting to a lot of you, especially her ultimate, which according to some of you is not very interactive and is a little bit of a reskinned or copy-pasted ability that just looks plain boring, which I will agree with. Something different as an ultimate with Garuda would have been much nicer than what we were shown. Her 1, 2 and 3 ability seem to be okay for the most part, although that healing spike will be better if it heals squad mates as well, and if of course range and strength mods affect it. Her first ability has a lot going on for it. I mean, there's a lot of detail with that first ability, and her ability that cuts her health in half seems good at first, especially with the damage buff that you then gain from it, but you're kind of meant to keep your health really low in order to keep that damage buff up, and if you heal Garuda, then that buff of course will go away. So you don't get to keep that buff once you reduce your health. It depends on your Warframe's health state. Now I did mention in my Devstream recap video that Garuda's ultimate looked very similar to Revenant's without the actual spinning and the lasers, mixed in with maybe Nyx's absorb ability because of those particles when she runs with the augment, and even Sandstorm from Inros. So you just hover around slowly while the blades do all the work for you. So it is indeed not a very interactive ultimate ability. But before I get further into the ability, let's talk a little bit more about her actual claws and how she doesn't really take advantage of them. Her pounce, I think, is the first ability, which seems to be the only one that really utilizes those claws. That pounce animation from her first ability seems to be the only time that she actually uses those claws. I was hoping for some kind of ultimate while taking advantage of the claws where you could run around tearing enemies to pieces. Not really like Valkyr, I'm not talking about that invincible state that she can enter, but being able to maybe pounce between enemies or being able to use those claws. It seems like a waste having these huge aesthetic claws but not really utilizing them. Now, having gone through the comment section of my last Devstream video, I have been seeing a lot of you with some really good ideas that could have been an awesome ultimate ability to see in action with Garuda instead of what we were shown. Now, one idea I seen being mentioned a lot in the comment section was, what about having blood bending as her ultimate ability? She is a blood and gore themed Warframe, and I never really thought about the whole blood bending thing, but it would fit her theme. Katara from The Last Airbender, being able to control enemies, or maybe making them explode for area of effect damage, raining blood down on the surviving enemies and debuffing them at the same time. Kind of something along those lines. I'm not sure about controlling enemies because then it would fit too similar, I guess, again to Revenant. Or what about Deathlaf from The Witcher 3? He was a vampire boss that you fought who was also blood themed, and he could fire swarms of bats at you, he could phase dash towards you, and he also had these really cool claws. But bats, I guess, don't really fit into the Warframe universe, do they? Maybe they do, I don't know. Another good alternative to that ultimate ability that I seen being mentioned in the comment section was, what about Hela from Thor Ragnarok? She could fire these large blades, and it was cool as fuck. You know that scene from Thor Ragnarok where she's fighting the Asgardian army and starts to wave her hands, and every time she kind of waves her hands towards groups of Asgardians, these blades fire out and kind of impale them or spear them. But then again, that impaling people might be too similar for Nasia for the community not to actually notice or not complain about. So it's kind of hard, I guess, right now to get an ultimate ability that isn't in some way similar to what we already have on Warframes in game right now, because we have a lot of Warframe. Now maybe anything might be better than what they've shown during the dev stream for some of you, maybe allowing us to actually just run around killing things with those claw blades would be cool, or allowing us to run around and use the claw blades while those blades swirl around us might be a kind of happy medium, because that way you're not just hovering in mid-air, you're actually doing something. Because that way you're not just hovering in mid-air, you're actually doing something, so it would be a lot more interactive than what we had seen. Now, regardless of what we want, Fortuna isn't far off being released, hopefully, so I doubt Garuda will get any changes between now and then, maybe sometime after, who knows. During the dev stream, we did see that she had 630 armor when Rebecca selected her, but we don't know if she was modded for armor at that time. Her energy pool was around 270, so probably not modded for flow or primed flow. And she had a decent amount of shield at 520 and health was 960, so she was probably modded for shield and health and maybe armor as well. Now, her bonus damage passive and the interaction that you get with other abilities over the overall loss of health is a really nice idea, but I can see it leading to a lot of deaths because she's going to become this kind of a glass cannon. I feel like her ability to halve her health might be a little bit pointless because at higher levels she will be taking a lot of damage to that health anyway, which will increase that buff. So maybe having something different instead of that halving your health ability would be really cool. Maybe some kind of a squad ability. Now, when Garuda loses her health, her damage output increases to a maximum of 200%. That's her passive. But when you heal in any way, shape or form back up, even if it's just a little bit, that damage percentage bonus goes back down. So it's kind of on a scales. Health down, damage up, health up, damage down. So her healing spike ability will be bringing that damage percentage back down whenever you cast it. So we're going to have to try and find, I guess, a happy balance between what kind of health pool you're comfortable with running with before you put down that healing spike, in order to keep that damage potential up and wipe out as many enemies as possible. Now, a lot of you did mention that she is going to be the ideal Warframe for a quick thinking build, because that way you could have your health nice and low, you would be running off your energy pool, and your damage output would be really bloody high, which you're probably right. If you could mod her for survivability with health, armor, power strength for that healing spike if you needed it, and quick thinking, you could have an okay amount of survivability, but it's going to depend on that energy pool. Now, her ultimate overall, from what I could gather from most of you, is that it doesn't look like fun, and if her healing spike doesn't help teammates as well, then she's going to be a single player Warframe with no squad possibilities. So all we can really do is wait and see if anything gets changed between now and when Fortuna drops. I doubt it will, because then that might put a delay on Fortuna, might put it back by a few weeks because of that. I'm not sure how you guys would feel about something like that. Now let me know, these were just my thoughts of what I think of Garuda. Let me know in the comment section below what you like and of course what you dislike as well about what you've seen of Garuda so far. Do me a huge favour, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.